Excuse me. Okay, hopefully this should sound a lot more clearer than the first time I did this. But welcome to my home gym. I'm getting some workout and I'm making this video in here because I didn't want to be seated on a desk making this video. Plus, it's a Monday, so as the rules suggest, as the rules dictate, Mondays are chest days. Hi, my name is Felipe, and this video is primarily for young men. It's titled, or at least by the time this uploads, it should be titled Hope for Young Men, because we seriously need it. So that's my target audience for this video, and hopefully for this entire channel. If you're if you're an old man or you're a woman, feel free to stay and watch. But yeah, the more the merrier actually. Feel free to stay and watch. So why am I making this video? First and foremost reason is to persuade young men not to quit. Everywhere I look, it seems as though life as a young man is not the easiest. It's not easy to get a job, it's not easy to date, this whole dating crisis. It's not easy to get on the housing market. It seems like pretty much shit is stacked against us from in this generation, in this world, living as a young man. I'm sure you guys have probably experienced things just by being a young guy. You've experienced some hardships in your life, you've experienced some unfair treatment as a result of just who you are. We've experienced, we all went through that whole wave of men are trash. We basically live in a gynocentric human society where women are held, lauded, and told they're perfect for its existing, and men are shallow for the most part. I'm making this video for those guys who are like me, similar age, and are starting to notice that shit isn't right. Like in terms of like society and how things are laid out, things aren't. It was much easier for a man our age back in the 60s to live off a milkman's salary. It was much easier for a man our age back in the 60s to find a wife, to date, to get onto the housing market, to buy a house off a milkman's salary. Now in today's world, that's not the case. Sure, there's rising costs, there's inflation, there's all sorts of economic hardships and things that have contributed to that. But at the same time, it's been a shift in society and how society views men, especially with the mindset of now today's men are weak. And to be fair, there's quite a lot of evidence to back that up. But just because today's men are weak, quote unquote, doesn't mean that we have to stay weak. And that's one of the reasons why I'm making this video. It's a primary urge for men to change. Also, second reason, personally, I think a lot. Like I constantly ruminate and just think about all of these situations, these things that I'm experiencing in life, these things that I'm seeing other guys experience in life. I'm pretty sure we all saw that video of the CEO getting caught in the Coldplay concert cheating. And it wasn't just him that was cheating, of course, he was cheating with another woman. I forgot her name. I don't know. Yeah, I forgot both their names, but it takes two to tango. So I saw a video like this, and just a couple of days after. And for the entirety of that week, I saw constant backlash against the guy. He lost his job. He's, he's basically getting a divorce. His life is basically fucked. But on the flip side, no one, no one really mentioned anything about women. Also, the woman was married, and no one really mentioned any. No one cared about where this guy is, about the woman's husband, right? To be the guy who wakes up one day to a video of your wife getting caught, being lovingly embraced by another man. I can imagine what that looks like. I divert only to say that I looked at that video. I noticed society's backlash on both the man involved and the woman involved. I noticed the senses of the zeitgeist around the situation. It was heavily unfavorable for the guy in question. And I thought about this, and I've been thinking about this for quite a while as to why was that the case, where in a society where something like that occurs, it's the guy who's biting the bullet for the most part. But that's only one video to talk about. This has been happening over the past 6 decades. The societal outlook on morality and the virtues and values between man and woman gradually being subverted and switched. A woman can do no wrong. A man can do all wrong, as far as I'm concerned. And I think about things like this. I don't think thinking about them is enough. The second reason I'm making this video is to use this as an outlet to, again, young men out there, to wake them up and to also posit a hope for the future, a hope for mankind, a hope for men, primarily. Third reason, I've been wanting to make this video for quite a long time now. I just figured why not? So, yeah. Oh, how's that? That's good. I hope you guys can hear me. I don't know how well the sound quality is with the mic just underneath my voice. But I'm gonna get some workouts in. I'm gonna just spit and talk. I think I want to use these videos as well, primarily as just, like I said, an outlet to talk, an outlet to let my mind, my thoughts flow out into the world. In hopes that what I do say resonates with somebody, in hopes that what I do say and the experiences that I do bring up and what I do talk about resonates with someone, and hopefully helps them, hopefully motivates them, inspires them of some sort, entertains them, or is some sort of learning for them. Let me get this in. Ooh, that's good. I've been working on my bench for quite a bit over the last couple of months. I know how to bench heavier than this, but I'm not in the best form when I do so. So I'm benching lighter weights, prioritizing my form, making adjustments and improvements to it. And over the past 4 weeks, I've been seeing serious progress with how I attach the weight, my decentric, my eccentric, my pause, when my heightened stretch, this exercise, that's when the bar is literally touching your chest. And feels great. It feels great. I really feel more of the work in my chest and less on my arms. I think that's been one of the benefits of just taking time to focus on my form. And what was I gonna say? Yeah, yeah, if you gym and you bench, don't just ego lift. Take time to focus on your form. Because you don't want to rip heck. Actually, that's from what I've heard. Anyway, continuing with the video. Like I mentioned in the introduction, I've noticed that being a young man in today's world is not the easiest. Being a young man in any world is not the easiest, right? We are the archetype for which sacrifice is expected from. I'm sure we've all heard the saying, women and children first, right? There's a reason for that saying. And I, for one, think, well, unless you're my child, or you're my woman, or you're my mom or my sister, I could care less about you. My general sentiment is I value my life. My life is not a footstool or a raft for you to just use in order to preserve your life. Right? I've never liked that saying with the children first because fuck them kids and women of today's generation, Jesus. I'm gonna make a couple more videos talking about that, but that's not for today. But to get back to the video, there's a ton of difficulties for men today. From finding work to getting a loan to start a business to getting on the housing market, getting on the housing ladder, however you want to put that, to the dating crisis, which is a dismal shit show as far as I'm concerned. There's a lot of things that's not situated favorably for men. Whereas in days of old, in times of old, yeah, it's not like being a man back then was easy. Fuck no. But there was value to it. There was pride in being a young man. There was respect in being a young man. It was a lot better. It was a lot better in the sense of how men were viewed, at least. And I'm sure a lot of you watching this video have probably noticed, like, just as a result of just by how you've been raised, through the experiences that you've had growing up, through watching your father, and if you were fortunate enough to have a parent household, just watching the relationship dynamic between the father and the mother, or I'm sure there's a lot of unfortunate souls out there who had to go through and had to experience the divorce of their parents. And if you were still in contact with your father at that time, chances are it probably wasn't easy for him going through that divorce. Chances are it was probably a lot easier for your mum than it was for your dad. So there's just dangers for men. But there's a lot of dangers out there for young men. Dangers in the sense of dangers to what it means to be a young man and how society and the reflections of society upon young men primarily. There's a lot of poor treatment for young men. We all went through that whole men are trash culture. Sometimes I sit down and I think about how did we get to a point where it was a hot thing to hashtag in your post that the whole other separate gender, the whole other path is trash. When a society goes through something like that, where half of that society is shut on, called trash, dehumanized, treated as shit. Every single thing they do is scrutinized, and for anything, regardless of whether it is or it isn't, it's the man's fault. When a culture goes through this over a prolonged period of time, as we have, um, this said other half of that culture, they start to wake up. They start to realize something isn't right. And I'm sure we've all had some experiences, some situations where by virtue of just being a guy, it's seen as though you might not have a way to confirm this, but there's always that gut feeling, that instinct of it's because I'm a guy that this occurred or this didn't occur. So I'm going to tell you a story of one of my friends. So he works, and like he's been consistent since the time he was hired. He was hired along with another girl, and since he was hired, he's been consistently outperforming in his tasks, outperforming in his job. The targets that they give him, he consistently outperforms them. When it came time to decide who to promote, she was promoted over him, although she had taken mental days off, she had consistently been underperforming, well, in respect to his performance. She was decided to be promoted. And when this decision was made, he asked his manager, why was this the case? Do you want to know the response his manager gave? His manager said some bullshit like, it's not about what you do, but how you do it. Bear in mind, this guy isn't like a crash out. This guy isn't like he's not lazy. He's not disrespectful. He's one of the most respectful guys I know. He's not as like his character is cemented. His character is full. His character is very respectable. So it's not like he was outperforming his targets, but being a dickhead about it whilst he was doing so. No, that wasn't the case. That was just the third excuse that his manager gave to rationalize it, why poor performers should get the promotion. That's just one story, that's just one example. Back to what I was saying, there's a significant poor treatment of men in today's society. I've listened to what some people say, I've listened to what some women have to say, and they constantly talk about how men are weak, men are, men are not men are weak, men are like boys, men are like children. For the majority, that's an unfair take on men today, especially with the sort of position that we're in regards to the wider economy, in regards to society as a whole. Options for men, the modern archetypes. There's this guy called Hope Math on YouTube, and if you don't watch his videos, watch his videos. He does a really good job at deep diving into the psychology of human nature, psychology of men, women, and the psychology of just how things are currently operating in our society. He's a very good, critic of today's current society, and he gives a lot of reasons as to what's the issue, why the issue occurs, and as well his takes on what could be potential solutions for those issues. But in one of his videos, he talks about pretty much the only three archetypes that there are for men in today's society. That's the workhorse, the Peter Pan, and this is my own word for it, or this is Nietzsche's own word for it, but the Übermensch, the overman, which is the archetype of the triumphant type of man during the last days. Now, very good deep dive on what these three archetypes are and what they mean for men in today's world. First one is the workforce. That's the young man that's burdened by society's shit. He pays all the taxes into the economy. Yeah, gets no value for it, and if he tries to complain about the state of today's society, he's called an incel or a Nazi or whatever you have in. The workhorse type of man is the man that is typically blue-pilled, is typically raised in a school where female teachers were the archetype he looked up to, the people they look into for validation, raised in a feminine-centric world, possibly raised by a single mother. The workhorse is the guy who goes throughout life doing what he's told, thinking he's doing what's right, only to get a 9-to-5 job and essentially slave away his life. Now, I have a lot to say on 9-to-5s. I don't shut them like that. It's like I realize that's sort of what we live in today, I realize what society we live in today. I also realize that those things can be soul crushing. For most people who work 9-to-5, they don't want to work 9-to-5. That speaks enough. So, but those things can be soul crushing, and those things can almost sort of suck you away from the dreams you had in life and the positions that you set yourself to aspire to in life. They also take you away from something that I believe is very prominent, something that I believe is very critical to living a good life, which is your relationship with God and your relationship with other people. And by other people, I mean like close friends, close family members, people in general. But that's not the video for today. The workhorse is the guy who bears the burden of living in a society today, doing what he's told, paying his taxes, working a 9-to-5 job that he hates or that he just has no interest in, only to support for his family, support for his wife, his kids, God forbid a divorce occurs. These men are in dead marriages, dead bedrooms. Many of these men are just sort of wandering through life. A lot of them don't even search for a way out because they're so ingrained into it. It's like the Matrix. Seriously, I know this is an overused analogy with the whole blue pill, red pill thing, but it seriously is like the Matrix. All your life, you've done what the government has told you to do, you've done what society has told you to do, the expectations that other people have had for you upon your life are the expectations that you fulfill. What are the expectations you've had for yourself in your life? It's your life. You have to live it. If you're working a dead-end job, if you're working a 9-to-5, I get many of you guys are probably not sustaining families, right? This video is targeted for young men, and that's 24 and under. Actually, I do know a 24-year-old that got married a couple of days ago, so families soon to come. But for a lot of, especially since 20s is our transition phase, so this might apply to you, might not apply to you. But for those men that are working that in 9-to-5, paying your taxes, only for your tax money to be sent to the most scandalous things that I get. I think most men fit into this archetype, but I also think most men don't want to fit into this archetype. The second archetype is the Peter Pan. Now, these men are the men that either through observing the world or through experiences of the world or taking the black pill. These men they've largely quit from society. This is my main target audience. These are the people who they've looked at the world and they've seen, okay, there's nothing in society for me, right? There's nothing in society for me. I can't get a job. I can't buy a house. My dreams of owning a house just throw that to the wind. I can't really do much. Women don't respect me. Women don't rate me. Um, Even the good girls you think are good, I'm good. I've just suffered. I've suffered. I've tried to put myself out there. I've tried to really try to do this, what I've been told to do, and it's just not working out for me. And so a large majority of these men have pretty much just resigned themselves from society at large. These are the incels, these are the black pillars, these are the MGTOWs. These are the men that they, as a result, reside in, escaping from reality. They've literally escaped from reality in the sense of resided themselves to smoking weed all day, playing video games all day, watching porn, and yeah, I'm sure all throughout YouTube you've heard those three pillars of being essentially like a waste man, right? Essentially a youth that has no prospects in life, a youth that has no outlook for him. For this second archetype of man, my message is at first, in the short term, sure, smoking weed and playing video games is brilliant. It's amazing. It's mind-boggling, right? Like playing God, playing Helldivers, playing Marvel Rivals, while I'm getting those kills, getting those pentas, those hexes. Like it's brilliant. I'm not going to disagree and say that. No, that's shit. No. Like I'm 24 years old, right? If you want to play a video game, play a video game. Take 2 hours off of your day or week to just chill, relax, play a video game. If you want to get high, I'm also not one of those youths that's like, weed is the devil's herb. Nope. If you want to get high. In moderation, of course. But to be in that state constantly, it doesn't help in the long term. Over the past couple of weeks, I've been seeing these YouTube videos of like, I'm 34 years old and I have nothing to show for it, or I'm a 34-year-old loser, how you can avoid it. Like, I haven't fully watched these videos yet. I've seen clips of them, and all I have is pity for these guys, because to be 34 and not have stable financial income, not have healthy physique, basically not have any prospects for you, and then to probably look around and see that some of your friends do. It's not easy. Like, that's why they're making these videos, right? They are giving us the warning about how potentially fucked up our future could be if we stay Peter Pan. For this second archetype of men, my message is, it's in this stage of your life, especially in your 20s, it's in this stage of your life where the decisions you make, the actions you make, where the choice to face reality as it is, squarely, knowing that the cards are against you, or the odds are not in your favor. So in this stage of your life where the actions you take and choosing to make an action really matters. I don't want to see any one of you out there waking up 34, 35 years old regretting life. That's how a lot of them quit permanently, if you get what I'm saying. And that's the main message for this video. That's the first main message. For the Peter Pan, wake up. Reality is a bitter pill to swallow, but it's reality. And to resign yourself from reality whether because you've been hurt by reality or because you observed it and you think there's no option, there's no hope for you. My message is there is hope. The hope is in your actions. The hope is in what you do. Third type of man is what Nietzsche calls the Übermensch. The third type of man is what Nietzsche calls the Übermensch. This is a group of men that are competent, that are capable, that have had hard experiences in life, gone through those experiences and become more successful. This is a group of men that have decided, I'm going to go out and tame myself first and foremost in order to tame the world in front of me. I'm going to go out into chaos and extract order from chaos. Another person I listen to quite a bit is Jordan Peterson, and he has done a great job in just breaking this entire philosophy down. He talks about sacrifice, he talks about sacrificing today for tomorrow, sacrificing not just for yourself, but for the people around you, for your family, for your friends. And it's through sacrifice that's how a man becomes. It's through willingly confronting chaos that a man finds his innate God-given gift as, a man created in the image of God, to extract order from said chaos. It's not easy to be an English, right? That's the whole point. But I firmly believe that this is the hope for young men today. I firmly believe for all the workforces out there, and all the PM kids out there, voluntarily realizing the situation that you're in, the reality that you're in, the sort of generation that we've been born into, how tapped everything is, how messed up the economy is, how messed up the dating scene is, how messed up the health scene is, everything is messed up. But even in that adversity and even in that chaos, willingly saying, I'm not going to resign myself to being a white horse and a mindless drone for the rest of my life. I'm also not going to resign myself to being a child where I'm escaping reality and begging for what is essentially fake. Because those achievements you get, God, there's not going to be anything for you. But instead, I'm going to pick myself up, strap my boots up, go out there into the world, willingly confront the world in front of me. Whether it be finding a job, whether it be waking up and going to the gym, keeping a consistent routine, whether it be developing a spiritual life, whatever it is, I'm going to do this, whether it be creating something, writing a poem, filming a video, making a song, building an AI model using an NAN, whatever it is. But choosing, I'm going to do something, right? I'm going to do something. That is the hope that we have as young men. It's our actions, our choices, our habits that builds the world in front of us, that builds a better version of the world in front of us. And this message is primarily to both other archetypes, which is the white horse and the PFM. If you're already an Übermensch, hey boy, congratulations, because the road to that is not easy. And to build sort of discipline, sort of consistency, the sort of temperance in both body and mind and spirit, in order to place yourself where you're, what's the word? Where you're leaving a legacy, where you're making an impact, um, which people likes to call it making a dent in the universe, that is not easy. So congratulations and keep doing what you're doing, bro. May God bless you and continue to sustain you. But for those that aren't, it's one small step, right? It's one small step that you make today to say, what I've been doing for the past how many weeks, how many months, how many years of my life has resulted in nothing that's gotten me nowhere. I stop there and I make a change. It's one small step. Go to the gym today, write something today, film something today, pray today, right? Um, and do the same thing tomorrow. And build your mind to be disciplined and be consistent. It's making a change. Homer describes this, what I'm talking about, he describes it as self-maximizing. And he has a very simple logo for this. It's an upward arrow. It's a red upward arrow. And to my understanding, his message within said self-maximization and that upward arrow is, there is like a purpose for your life. There is a mission. As a man, you should be a man with a mission. There is a mission for you, for your life. Whether you know it or not, there is one, right? That's why God put you here on this earth. Or there is a calling, a desire that you have within your heart for something that you don't currently have yet. That upward arrow symbolizes the movement towards said thing. The beauty is not in the achievement, the beauty is in the progress towards said achievement. I don't believe that that is what characterizes an Ubermensch, or at least a fledgling Ubermensch. Someone who says, I'm in point A, there's point B. I might not reach point B, I might die before that, I might have to shift from point B to point C, but I'm in point A, there's point B, one third in front of the other. And that progress is the hope that we have as young men. I hope something of what I've said in this message today seriously resonates with somebody, especially for someone who's quit. You know, there's a lot of reasons today to quit. I'm not in the business of chastising a young man for largely resigning himself from today's madness. Because that truly is what it is, madness. There's a lot of reasons to observe the world you're in today and say, fuck it, what's the point? If that's what we resort ourselves to, then you know, right? It's defeat. It's defeat. And men are characterized by their challenges and going through those challenges. They're characterized by extracting order from chaos. My message today is, as long as you're a man, you can do that, no matter what anyone tells you. Women can do it too, but like the message for the men is you can do it. You have so much in you to be able to go after what it is that you want. So do it. God bless. Till next time.